Welcome back to the Quiet Mountain Radio program. We are going to let Brown here take us on a little journey, I think. This is, I think, now going to be episode 4 of our Rule of Rose playthrough.
We're flying along, dude.
Literally just flying. Oh, look what he found. When find is used correctly, you'll discover hidden items like this. Okay.
So what did he find? Is it a key? Oh, biscuit.
The biscuit tin led us to the biscuit. That makes sense. I wonder, can we use him as like a tether through this maze? Where like if I have an object like that key that I tried last episode, if I use that, do you think he'll take me back to that area so I don't have to rack my brain to figure out how to get over there? Or
we should definitely try.
Am I overthinking this? We now know that the scent of a biscuit tin is linked to a biscuit. Gee.
So I bet you have to have biscuits to make him do stuff?
Potentially, or we need something that can lead him to a specific other item that we're looking for. Let's see here. When you select the biscuit tin from the menu screen, you'll see biscuit listed under find target. Okay. We have more biscuits nearby. Press the triangle button and hit find again.
So you don't have to go back into the menu?
I still have it equipped as find, just as I'm still holding the dinner fork. Did you find it?
Boy.
Do we have to leave here?
Animal AI is always iffy in games.
Yeah. I've heard his is okay. Okay, so he's just barking at this corner.
So what if you go activate where he... Oh.
I hit circle to get him away.
So you canceled it?
There we go. I didn't see that he was standing. I couldn't see. Okay. As long as hidden items are nearby, you can continue to use the find command. Press the triangle button again to find another item. Wow, okay. This is a good tutorial. Okay, it seems there are no other items in this area that can be found with the biscuit tin.
Didn't it just say there's more?
It said try again.
Oh,
if Brown can't find anything, you'll be able to tell by his gestures. Also, if a search fails in one area, try another. Keep an eye on the find target list as well as Brown's gestures. This concludes the find tutorial. Wow.
See, that seems like it could have been done a little more elegantly.
I actually kind of liked how they did that. They just told you exactly how to do it,
and
they didn't try to contextualize it. They just said, hey, this is kind of complex. Here you go.
I do kind of like when they...
Excuse you.
Excuse me. I'm sorry. I do like it when they find a way to contextualize.
Oh, absolutely. Things, but that's always preferred. But I did like that they just kind of told you exactly what buttons to press, and that's just how it's going to be done today. So I think I actually might be on the right track back. Yep, because here's Diana. I think I'm on the right track back to the Clover Room. And I'm not sure if Brown needs to be called back. Yeah, you press circle to get him to come to you. I don't know if I need to do that to keep him sort of at my hip, or if he'll just follow naturally. So I might just press it here and there just to see. Ooh,
Give him a little reminder.
Yeah.
Keep up, dog.
Not the queen of cleaning.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, my.
So Yikes. I was under the impression that the violence was at the kids, and that's what the controversy was. So far, it's just kids being mean.
Yeah, it's just kids are just real mean. Okay. So there's 4 clovers. We've made it back already, which is 1 clover. I think this is it. So let's try this. Yes, that worked. Second passenger corridor. All right. I hope I didn't have to follow the cleaning lady in there because I kind of just abandoned her. Ooh, what's going on here? The unlucky girl met Nicholas, the sloppy prince. With a look of annoyance, the prince clicked his tongue and mumbled at her.
Why you go away? Go away.
I'm a shadow. I'm a shadow. Get out of here. There we go. Yeah, and like what we talked about earlier with the doors, there's really no prompt telling me whether this is locked for now or this is locked.
Permanently.
Yeah, like this is just locked. What is he?
Can the doggo find anything?
I'm not sure, but what is he doing? Okay. Really not sure what that little boy is doing, but let's see here. There has to be a reason we're in here. I thought this was part. What is it? I thought this was part of the key that we found. Wasn't this not? Where is this? Hold on. Was this a broken? Oh, so maybe I was right.
Do you have more than one?
I only have the one. I thought this was attached to the one key that we got earlier for whatever reason.
See if the dog can find it.
Yeah, let's. Whoa! Hey!
Oh,
whoa! Hey. Okay.
We're standing on it.
I was standing literally right on it.
Cheater.
Yeah. It's a key with a single leaf. It seems to be incomplete. So does that mean that the... There you go. Okay, the little boy's gone. When the copper leaf was attached to the key... Oh, it's a two-leaf key. Okay. So now let's leave because... Oh, are there other ways to... Oh my, there's a bunch of stuff potentially to do here. I just want to check these doors. I'm going to play it like it's Silent Hill. You got to just check every door, right?
So now we have the key, so presumably that's where we're headed.
Yes, is the two leaf door.
Yeah, where were those?
They were just back through here.
I like that little touch of the dog actually walking through the door.
Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah.
It's not something you'd expect to see.
I'm just not sure.
Isn't that right there?
Yes,
is that two leaves?
That's two. Right? Whoops. Okay, two leaves. Yeah. Okay, there we go. I think because we found that, I think maybe we should just try to progress rather than checking doors.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. I know. I just getting a little turned around with all these doors. There we go. Okay. Oh, hello.
So we're in a new area, yes?
Oh, I thought that was a person.
It's a cleaning lady.
Yeah. Hey, okay. First door that's open in a while for us. Room 9. Okay.
I don't like how dark it is.
Yeah, I'm not. Wow. Okay.
Is this one of those things where you need the flashlight to
probably
see what you're doing?
Yeah, I'm not gonna mess around in there. Okay.
That's creepy.
Not a fan. Okay. So we came from right there.
I hear noises,
this door. What's this here? Cafeteria. Okay, let's see here. I don't have that broken piece anymore, so I'm not sure I can send Brown to look for, like... I thought that was a person. Oh, that is a... Hey, that is kind of a person. Yeah. Poor, helpless, unlucky girl. Tell me your tale. Save. So this is our well, technically, I think it's the third save point in the game, but this is the second save area that we found now. So we have the filth room and the cafeteria. Let's see.
2.5 hours already.
Yeah, 2.5. How about that, huh?
So I don't expect...
this is like a total area where you would miss something on a table, like some key lore is just a post-it note somewhere.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
I was going to say, I don't expect you to have any experience with it, but watching the dog, I was reminded of when I was in college. One of our projects was to animate a quadruped.
Okay.
Or a dog, rather.
Sure.
And it is not as easy as it would seem because of the way their gait works.
Sure.
With because we had to do walking and running.
Okay.
And
so tell me about that. Let's just back that up a bit. Tell me a little bit more about that if you don't mind. The rubbish bin spoke to me. Sorry, 1 second. My belly is as dark as night and as deep as the abyss. Yeah, mine too. Anything in the world that is dropped will be collected inside it.
Oh, it's a storage spot. Okay.
About striking evidence. So I just wanted to back that up a bit. Tell me about how you studied for animating a quadruped. It's not like they just sat you down with ZBrush and said, "All right, go for it." I assume that you watched video or you saw some sort of images or another form of animation of a quadruped running?
Yeah, so they gave us a model, a 3D model of a dog.
Okay.
That was already rigged, which is it has the animation skeleton in it.
Okay.
So you can grab usually it's, several points along the spine, say, and at the neck, just points where you'd want to move the model, right? So those are the I can't remember, I don't know if it's called joint, but essentially that's what it is.
Sure.
And so this was in the animation class, so it was pre-rigged, and we basically had 3 weeks to come up with a walk cycle that looped perfectly, and a run cycle that looped perfectly. So typically with animations, you only animate, especially something that loops over and over again, like your character's run cycle. They probably only animated her like when you're at full speed like this.
Sure.
They really only have to animate like a step and a half until the animation overlaps, and then it loops perfectly. It's really like 24 frames or a certain amount of frames of animation. So you basically start her off like how do I say this? Well, like her legs are both like she's running, like her left foot is up, like she's taking a step forward, and her right foot is at the back, and she's stepping on the ball of the foot. Maybe you probably wouldn't start there with the animation, but then you can do what's called keyframe animation, where you take your model and you say, I'm having him to go all over the place here.
That's okay.
So when you're doing an animation in those programs, there's like a timeline you set up, and you tell it how many frames you want this animation to be.
Yep.
So like you say at 0 frame, or at the first frame, we're here, and then at a certain amount of frames later, you say it should be here, and then at the last frame, or not the last, I guess halfway would be the opposite of what your animation is. Like the feet are in the opposite position.
Okay.
The left foot's at the back now, and the right foot's forward.
Sure.
And then you bring it back and then you keyframe it, at a few spots along the way, like, halfway through the step animation, her foot should be here, and then you want to end up back where you started so that it loops perfectly.
Wow. Okay. So now then with the quadruped, now it's not a human anatomy.
It's not just 2 feet.
It's now it's 4, and I assume they didn't say, like you very specifically described it as a quadruped. They didn't say make a dog running. They just said a quadruped. So was there like some fun? Was there some liberties you could take with like the posture or the proportions of your quadruped, or did everybody kind of just sort of make a dog?
I think. Well, we were given the model, so it was a dog.
Gotcha.
So if you were really ambitious, you could have.
You could have, sure. Made like that sort of like hyena posture of like the tall shoulders and all that.
Right. But with, I use the word quadruped because I was just going to get into talking about how the dog's animation works.
Sure.
So, like with the person, our gait, since we're bipeds, it's different than with dogs or quadrupeds, and I don't know, I assume that a dog, when it's walking, its feet hit the ground at a certain pattern. I don't remember exactly what it was, but when they're running, usually only I think it's only 2 feet touch the ground at any particular point. They're kind of like springing along as they run.
Sure.
That's like a sprint, but if they're like trotting, their feet touch the ground in a different pattern. But just getting those to line up and look the way they should,
like creature,
is not as easy as
I have to check
would
this
think.
One.
Yeah.
So you mentioned that about Brown's animation. And now, granted, we don't really see a whole lot of Brown. You can kind of see him.
They do have that. If you can flip the camera with whatever key it was, and run away from him. Dogs have that. They do like a little sort of bounce.
Yeah.
As they just walk along there, or kind of trot. And I just thought it was a nice touch. I was just admiring the work because it's not.
Yeah.
And presumably they didn't motion capture a dog, so somebody had to do that by hand.
I believe that's kind of funny they bring that up. I would be willing to say that you could bet money and that they did
That they
hand animate a dog, but
hand-animated.
every child in this game is performance captured. They brought in teeny tiny little Japanese children to do all the performance capture for this game, which I thought was really interesting. Now, performance capture isn't new, but so many, developers were still sticking with that hand-drawn animation for so long. I mean, even like today, even Bethesda still does. Everything is hand-done by Bethesda. Game studios, obviously.
Really?
That's why the Fallout games look so weird. It's all hand-done. But yeah, I guess you kind of see something like Uncharted and you just know that is performance capture. But when you see...
Should we explain what that is, maybe, for those who might not know?
Go ahead. Absolutely.
So, motion capture, I assume, most people are aware enough of what it is. But for those who maybe don't know, motion capture is a technique for animating where you go into a room that's filled with cameras, but they're very special cameras in that they only capture data. And you wear, instead of images, and you wear this like black spandex suit with little reflective white balls on you at like your joints, and they line up with the rigging skeleton of a model.
Yeah.
So then you do whatever you're going to do, like you mentioned Uncharted, and they go kind of all out where they like literally act out the scene.
They do. That's where you get the term performance capture, because they're using not only the facial animation that they have synced up, but also the voice work is done then, and like you said, they act it all out.
Right.
We talked about that just a teeny tiny bit during our Evil Within 2 episodes,
Did we?
and that
Okay.
they had Japanese actors doing the performance capture, and then the American voice actors taking over after that.
But so it's really good for animating things like people, or it's good for like big animations that don't need any fine detailing.
Sure.
So it's not on your hand in the motion capture mocap suit. You just have one ball that sits at the center of your palm or the back side of your hand. So it doesn't get any like fingers. I mean, maybe now there's probably high end stuff,
finer ones,
but that kind of stuff still has to be done by hand. So it's really good for. I mean, I would guess that this character running here was probably mocapped, and it just naturally picks up the things that you would have to do by hand very painstakingly.
Okay.
Like, there's a lot of things that you don't even think about. Like, when you're running, your shoulder... Not even running, but, like, if you're at, like, a slow, medium pace walk or something, your shoulders and your hips and everything moves in a certain way, and if you have to do that by hand, you have to take every piece of the character, the rig, and tell it where to be. But with mocap, you can just have somebody run through a room wearing that suit, and then you have all your data.
You have it immediately, right?
Right, yeah. And intuitively, and without any, crazy hard work.
Yeah.
And a good thing about it, or another good thing, is that if you don't like an animation, you can just toss it and go in the room and do it again.
And have
throw that on their character.
Have that poor, Troy Baker run down the hallway or something, right?
Yeah. And it's really fast, and but like I said, it's not great for things like hands.
Sure. What about
faces?
Yeah, faces. I know that you see like in the behind the scenes of stuff like the Jungle Book or even the Hobbit films, where they had those
they have all those dots on the face.
Sorry, I just walked right back into that really dark room that I don't like, and there's no point in me being here, and I keep going in here on accident. They have all the dots on the face. I imagine that's for that facial capture.
See, I think those are more just for reference.
You think? Okay. And I know that even like Beyond Two Souls used that with Willem Dafoe and Ellen Page. They shot that whole poor,
game.
poor game in the spandex with the dots on their face because they wanted all of that.
I don't know if that is actually capturing the face. I'm gonna guess probably not, but it's more because of the way a 3D model is built. Mm-hmm. They literally have those vertexes along the character model.
Gotcha.
So then, if you have somebody just doing it and you're doing whatever facial expression, mm-hmm. then you kind of know what your vertices need to be doing.
So I know you just said it, but that makes sense that it would literally just be for reference then.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this then, and this is, just sort of speculation, but say they're able to mocap that those facial animations as distinctly as they do a running animation or a jogging animation or even like a fight scene. How much does that really take away? And I don't mean that in the negative, but how much does that make the job of the animators easier if it's really just putting a video game skin over essentially a really weird looking movie? Think of those scenes that we've watched of The Last of Us in the Making, mm-hmm. where it's just Troy Baker in the mocap suit just acting his guts out, and he's in spandex with a goofy hat on. And now let's imagine that he can make that into his face, and now do you make the character look different than Troy Baker? Does that work then still if they put his character's face over those facial animations, or does it give it sort of a weird vibe to it? And then how easy then does that make the animator's job as opposed to even 5, 6, 10 years ago where they were having to hand draw or hand animate rather all of that? What then? When does it just become putting a video game skin over actors doing a fabulous job? And then do you think you could ever see that becoming a draw of it? I know that Beyond Two Souls tried to do that, where they brought in a literal star-studded cast, right, mm-hmm. to make this game. Do you see a video game taking that approach where something that's maybe, I don't want to take away from Beyond Two Souls too much. I tried this just before, because they still did accomplish a AAA game, but imagine somebody taking your Leonardo DiCaprio and putting him into a Naughty Dog game. Does that become easy for the animators where they can say, yeah, we've got DiCaprio, all we got to do is just put the game engine textures over him and let him do his thing? Or are there still some hidden challenges that maybe I'm not really privy to, that where we say, yeah, even if it's DiCaprio being the best actor in the world, it's still going to cause X, Y, and Z problem?
Well, there are, at least with my knowledge of the systems.
Sure.
So you asked a couple different questions in there.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
So were you asking if technology gets to the point where those dots on the actor's face is actually capturing data? Or is that just for...
Yes.
Okay, so with that...
Where they can get all those nuanced, facial features and expressions and all of that really bring out that actor's performance.
Okay. So then with the... You said something. I'm going to try to answer all of these.
Take your time.
And then you said, are there hidden things that you might not know, mm-hmm. right? So there are. With mocap, there's a whole process that comes after you capture the recording. It's not perfect. It's called cleaning up. It's not really
sure, that super jargon term.
But you got to clean up your capture footage because sometimes the cameras don't quite interpret things properly.
Okay.
Say this camera picked up, I don't know, you did kind of a swinging motion with your arm. So the camera, there's multiple, but one of the cameras, as this ball on the back of your hand went behind the ball that's on your shoulder, and then it interprets that as the same ball, then suddenly your arm disappears. Gotcha. Or does wonky things.
Sure.
So you have to go through and clean all that up, and that in itself is a tremendous task. And then sometimes, or if you block something out, mm-hmm. it'll just cause it to do wonky things. And so that just cleaning up rigging or mocap is a job in and of itself. And with my knowledge of the current technology, I don't think that capturing a face like that live is really viable.
Sure.
But I'm sure someday it'll happen, as computers get faster and faster. And, I mean, the cutting edge technology might be able to do that now. I'm not fully aware of how those things are currently going.
Sure.
But, I mean, making anything for a game is still a tremendous amount of work. And, well, that's a nice little
detail
nice
there.
little thing there, yeah.
Scratches at the door if you have to leave.
Yeah.
I apologize for the people who do not care about performance capture and have instead been watching me just absolutely scavenge these halls looking for where to go next.
Oh, this is kind of interesting stuff.
And I finally figured it out.
Did you?
I did. And I'm very happy about that. Only it's not... we have to move past this barricade here, but I'm... can I attack it?
Is there a climb?
There is not. But if I send Brown here, he wants to move past this, and we cannot. So what is this the...
Is this the dark room?
I think this is, yeah. Yep, it sure is. Okay, so maybe we have to just sort of figure this room out. So yeah, I do apologize for interrupting, but do you have anything else to add to that performance capture discussion?
Not particularly. I mean,
Sure.
I did get to do it when I was in college. That was kind of fun.
Yeah, that sounds kind of cool, actually. Yeah.
And we had to go through kind of the whole process where we built a character model. Then we had to throw on the mocap suit and go in the studio,
Cool.
and record an animation and get it working on our character model. And
So what did you do?
what do you mean? What did I do?
Like, what did you put on the suit?
Mm-hmm.
So what was your animation?
Oh, I did this. I modeled this like goblin sort of creature in ZBrush, which is
Modeling,
It's like a digital sculpting program. And then I cleaned up the polygons, and then I rigged it, and I did this like silly thing where it was like a short little goblin, and I had him trying to pick something up, and he falls backwards.
Oh, okay.
Right? So
Yeah.
they told us not to make it too complex.
Long,
there,
yeah.
right? Yeah.
And this was at MMI. They had a whole.
They had a
performance
studio.
capture studio. Wow,
Yeah,
I did
yeah.
not know that. That
And
is impressive.
They had like I don't know, maybe between 15 and 20 of those cameras that capture the footage, and each one of those cameras is like $50,000.
I was gonna say, I've heard that like those Phantom cameras are like $80,000. So I couldn't even imagine what those would have been.
They're super expensive.
Yeah.
I
think we are going to try to figure out how to get Brown past that barricade, and then we will return on the next episode of Rule of Rose in our adventures in the Quiet Mountain Radio program. Thank you all.